would it be right to say that you would probably be more sympathetic to certain doctrines that maybe some of your other Protestant brothers and sisters wouldn't be? For example, you might be, I'm just guessing, open to maybe the veneration of icons if it's understood correctly and things like this, whereas I'm sure other people like Gavin Ortland or James White certainly wouldn't be, or no? You don't?
I think the utility of icons is beautiful. Like I think there's a practical utility of it. I think, and I am not a Gavin Ortland. Like he's way more versed in this than I am. I think the utility of it is beautiful. I think the using pictures and all that sort of stuff. I think the part where I get uncomfortable is seeing people bow to icons and seeing people kiss icons makes me uncomfortable, because that line between where do we make the object the source of our worship versus the object is a mirror into heaven, right? That's what they call them, windows into heaven. Not mirror, windows into heaven. And so I think that line, I feel like can get blurry. And so that makes me uncomfortable. And then even trying to get more deep into what did that word anathema meant in the Second Nicene Council. And does it mean that if I don't do said practice that I'm accursed and I'm anathema, or does that mean that those who go against it and want to destroy that practice? Because I don't have a problem if folks want to use icons and it brings them closer to Jesus, like I don't have an issue with that. I think I would have an issue with like, is there too much on the inanimate object? Too much emphasis on the inanimate object.
I think I know what you mean, because you can feel uncomfortable about something without necessarily being against it. Like you can be uncomfortable about something without even really having a good reason. So I'll give an example from my own life. Like as an Australian who just became legally an American.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much. I love this country. I'm happy to be here. Americans are awesome. But I feel very uncomfortable when people put their hand over their heart and stand and say words to the flag. Like that makes me feel very uncomfortable. And so I don't do it. Now, someone could stand here and give me a great explanation as to why you shouldn't feel uncomfortable, and I'd still feel uncomfortable. See what I mean? So not that you're asking me for it, but the way I see it, like when I kiss an icon, it's sort of like if I pulled out my phone and kissed a photo of my wife on the phone because I've been away from her for weeks. No one would say, and you wouldn't say, you're reverencing glass, you're getting things confused.
You're worshiping the iPhone.
Yeah, no one would say that. You know, they would all recognize that I'm kissing the image of my wife, and that's supposed to transfer to what I would do if she were here. Like if she were here and I was kissing my phone instead of her, that would be weird. Yeah.
But, that would be weird.
Yeah. But does that explanation help you go, oh yeah, I'm not uncomfortable anymore? Or are you like me with the flag where you're like still uncomfortable, but thanks?
I would say the latter, and I would say it's kind of what we talked about yesterday, right? What we do in moderation, people can do in excess, right? And so I think you perhaps can do that in a way where there isn't any hint of idolatry in your heart. But I think sometimes that at scale, like the concern I have is that seeing folks in the Armenian traditions is that the rituals become the means, and that's it, right? Like this is...
Do you mean the end?
The end, excuse me. Yeah. The rituals become the end. So I'm going to do this prayer, say this thing, light this candle, and that's it. And then I'm going to go back into society. I'm going to continue being an alcoholic. I'm going to continue drunk driving. And so I remember like the same folks who would be in church would then... I would get a call. My mom would get a call from their wife. So-and-so just died in a drunk driving accident, you know? And this isn't like one-offs. And so I think the concern I have is like, and so I try not to judge an entire faith tradition.
Good idea.
By the most nominal representatives.
Great advice.
And so I go, okay, well, are these folks just not, you know, really walking out their faith? Or are these folks the means of the faith? And I would say within the last year, if I'll be honest, I've met a lot more Catholic and Orthodox folks that seem to really take their faith seriously and seem to be not just bold and outspoken, but leaning into the practice of the faith. And I go, okay, that's interesting, because this is new to me. Like throughout, like the kids in high school that were Catholic, it was just more of a cultural thing, right? It wasn't I'm devoted to Jesus and I want to help be the hands and feet of Jesus on this side of eternity. And so I think the practice I'm seeing kind of emerge more. But I would say I would be curious, and there's no way to quantify this, but I would be curious how many folks would be okay with just having I go to church on Sunday and I'm I'm a Christian, I'm a Catholic, I'm a Protestant, I'm a Orthodox. Like, what is the makeup of that demographically, right? I would say at my church and many Protestant churches that I'm affiliated with, I'll be very specific and careful with my words. It's very difficult to just come and be a casual passerby. You're going to get challenged. You're going to be encouraged to step in, to do something active with your faith, with your service, with something, right? And so, and I don't know enough about that world. And so I don't want to like dismiss the whole by the people, you know, that I've perhaps seen and create a caricature and a straw man.
Yeah, that's very charitable of you. And I think sensible too. We shouldn't judge a medicine based on those who aren't taking it. You know, we should judge the medicine based on those who are taking it. And so if I'm going to judge Protestants or Muslims or Mormons, then I need to like look at the faithful ones and then sort of judge the Catholic Church by the saints. Not by a priest who was a pedophile or this person who, you know, committed adultery.
I love that you said, don't judge the medicine by those who aren't taking it. That's it.
Yes, that's very charitable. And I know we've fallen into that in the past. I had someone on the show. She was just sharing her experience, so I'm not knocking her for this, but she was pointing out that, you know, she used to be Protestant, but you go to these Protestant churches, and then she gave like the worst kind of Protestant churches. And then you go to Catholic churches, and they're so beautiful. And I get the argument, and I'm not, again, that was her experience, but that's like been viewed millions of times, I think, now on Instagram. But then I'm like, yeah, but I mean, there are so many ugly Catholic churches. So it's like what we want to do is like see the worst in you Protestants and the best in us Catholics. And you see these memes and they make me so unhappy because you'll see these gross Protestant churches with like a glorious Catholic church somewhere in Germany. And you're like, that is not at all what's going on. Have you been to the local church up the road? Like that also looks like a Pizza Hut. Like you can't be doing that. It's not fair. I think a lot of it is just the zeal of a new convert who really wants to believe that there's nothing wrong with their church.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, like I don't have a lot of desire for being an apologist for Protestantism. Like we have our own issues in our own struggles. Now, I will say like there's a reason why I'm not Catholic and Orthodox. But I am not trying to be the guy that like has an apologetic for all the things. You know, this is what I believe. This is why I believe. This is why I practice the way I practice. But I just think some of that can be. I prefer speaking to the authorities on these things, the priests and I find the conversations fascinating, and not necessarily to win an argument, you know. And I get in trouble for that for my own circles. Like they're like you. I am befunded by how many fundamentalists, non-denomination, I don't know what to call them, Protestant that just think like Catholics aren't saved, you know, or Orthodox aren't. I'm like, this is craziness, you know, like this is insane. And so I think there could be disagreement that's healthy while saying, yeah, those are our brothers and sisters in the Lord. And I get in trouble for that within my own communities.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, do us a favor, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of the video, like, and subscribe.